Okay. So our topic of today is polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons, PNA. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons are sometimes referred to as polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons or condensed ring aromatics or fused ring aromatics. They're basically a class of organic compounds which consist of two or more fused aromatic rings. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, they are commonly encountered in the environment containing two naphthalene or seven coronene fused benzene rings, though these compounds are also present which have greater number of rings. Now, coming to their inherent properties, the inherent properties such as heterocyclic aromatic ring structure, hydrophobicity, thermostability, they have all made them recalcitrant and highly persistent in the environment. And they have been determined to be highly toxic, mutagenic, carcinogenic, teratogenic, and immunotoxic to various life forms. Now, we discuss some properties of PAH. These are semi-volatile compounds. They are distributed in both gas and particulate phase under ambient conditions, which leads to very different biologically effective pathways through inhalation. In the atmosphere, they're not very stable and they can undergo photodecomposition under sunlight or react with other pollutants such as ozone and nitrogen oxides to form oxygenated and nitro-denitro PAH compounds. These processes can lead to complex and toxic mixtures because many nitro and oxygenated PAH compounds pose higher toxicities than their parent compounds. The occupational exposure studies which have been done have showed a variety of adverse health effects resulting from exposure to elevated PAH compounds, which includes cancer. Now, these are some structures of polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. We have naphthalene, acinaphthene, fluorine, anthracene, phenanthrene, fluoranthene, pyrene. Now, what are the sources of polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons? The sources are characterized mainly into two, such as anthropogenic emission sources and natural emission sources. The natural sources include volcanic eruption, natural forest fire, moorland fire, which is caused by lightning flashes. Then comes the man-made emission sources or anthropogenic emission sources, which includes um, four types: industrial sources, mobile sources, domestic sources, agricultural emission sources. This is basically a diagram which shows the sources of the pollution and the environmental burden that they pose. And these are basically shown in tons per year. Sources of polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons. Incomplete combustion is a prime source, which is due to industrial activities such as waste incineration, iron, steel production, aluminum production, cement manufacturing. Then coal tar pitch production, dye manufacturing, asphalt industries, rubber tire manufacturing industries. It is also produced in the agricultural uh, products such as fungicide, insecticide, exhaust from refineries, and power production. Then industrial emission sources include processes such as coal gasification, electric arc furnace, oxygen furnace, diesel engine, gasoline powered engines of large machineries. Mobile emission sources include the exhaust from many vehicles like ship, trains, off-road, heavyweight, and lightweight vehicles. This is basically a pictorial description of all the sources that we mentioned in the last slide. Then we have domestic emission sources, which include household activities such as garbage burning, coal coking, wood burning, cooking on oil and gas burners, kerosene, wood stoves, and other residential heating. Agricultural emission sources, uh, they include open biomass burning, stubble burning, agricultural waste burning when burning is performed in a suboptimal combustion condition. And high such pollution in a rural area is mainly due to the domestic and agricultural sources, whereas when we talk about urban areas, it is due to industrial, mobile, or domestic sources. Now, their concentration varies in all the seasons. Concentration is the highest in winter, which is followed by spring, autumn, and then summer. The highest level in winter and spring is mainly due to incomplete combustion of fossil fuel, elevated residential heating, lower photodegradation, and poor diffusion due to atmospheric conditions like calm winds and low temperature. Now, this is a diagram showing the different types of polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon sources, emission sources. Number one, we have industrial sources, then mobile sources, domestic sources, agricultural sources, and natural sources. Types of pH sources. They're basically characterized based on the origin of production, and it includes pyrogenic compounds, which are formed through unintentionally incomplete combustion of organic materials at very high temperatures, which is about 350 to 1200 degrees centigrade, under no or low oxygen conditions. Some intentional pyrolytic processes, such as thermal breaking of petroleum compounds into lighter compounds and distillation of coal into coal tar and coke, also produce pyrogenic pH. The concentration of these compounds are generally higher in urban areas. Another type is petrogenic pH, which is present in petroleum and its byproducts, widespread due to storage, transport, use, and leakage of crude oil and its products. Biogenic compounds, they are synthesized by biological entities like microorganisms, phytoplankton, algae plant, and during slow biological conversion of organic materials. Atmospheric pH compounds, such as aerosols, they are deposited in water, soil, and plants in the particulate phase through dry and wet deposition processes, and accumulation of pH compounds in soil and sediment is responsible for further transport of the pollution to groundwater, plants, and food. These plant roots absorb these compounds from the soil and translocate it to further plant parts. Then we have occupational and non-occupational sources. Occupational sources include basically the exposure of workers in coal gasification plants, municipal incinerators, smoke houses, and aluminum production facilities. Non-occupational sources is basically through diet, smoking, and burning of coal and wood. And intake of food is the basic involuntary exposure route of pH. This is a recent literature which was taken from an article, and it has summarized human exposure to the following 8 carcinogenic polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons: benzoanthracene, chrysene, benzofluoranthene, benzofluoranthene, BAP, and benzogaiapyrilene. In non-smokers, a total intake of 3.12 milligram per day was estimated, of which food contributed 96%, air 1.6%, water 0.2%, and soil 0.4%. The smokers consuming one pack of cigarettes, which were non-filtered per day, had an estimated additional intake of 1.5 microgram per day. And this table shows further adverse effects of BAP on the fertility of male. Like it causes, cigarette smoke causes reduction in sperm count. It is also responsible for decreasing seminal plasma, according to this research paper. Male coke oven workers have an increase in morphological abnormalities, and it causes decreased motility and sperm counts. Exposure to pH. The main exposure routes are 3: inhalation, ingestion, double contact. It's possible. It is very possible that exposure can occur via more than one route, double and inhalation. The primary exposure occurs at the workplace. Workers in the coke manufacturing factories and food processing industries, traffic police through inhalation of vehicle exhaust and road dust containing pH. Exposure can also occur through polluted water, grilled and smoked food items, and smoking. For smoking people, one cigarette causes an intake of 20 to 40 nanogram of benzoapyrene, and up to 70% of this exposure can be related to diet for non-smoking persons. It can also be basically humans can also be exposed by drinking water. pH concentration varies between 1 microgram to 11 microgram, and the highest acceptance by World Health Organization for benzoapyrene is 0.7 microgram per liter. They are found during domestic and industrial food processing, such as roasting, toasting, drying, grilling, frying, baking, and barbecuing. Vegetables and fruits may also be contaminated by the growth in the soil, which is already contaminated with these compounds and atmospheric deposition. The world's two most popular beverages, tea and coffee, are also contaminated with pH through atmospheric deposition on raw plants in industrial drying, roasting process, and heating steps in preparation. Okay. Now, water discharge is one of the main channels for these compounds to enter the environment. Long-term irrigation with industrial effluent mixed with municipal wastewater has resulted in excessive accumulation of these compounds in the agricultural soil. Part of the pH in the air could directly enter the soil by atmospheric deposition. Crops cultivated on such soils may take up these pollutants, may uptake these pollutants in very high quantities. And numerous studies have demonstrated that vegetables which have accumulated high concentration of these compounds were grown in already contaminated soil. This picture shows transport through air mass, wet deposition, dry deposition, and all the sources, both natural and anthropogenic. Now, these are some studies which further explain the exposure to pH compounds. The first one investigated the presence of four such compounds in 18 brands of tea and 13 brands of coffee. The highest concentration was detected in black tea and in instant coffee. As per the report of German Environment Agency, these compounds were being used in products such as toys, bathing shoes, mouse pads, bicycle handles, and many sport items. The elasticity of Rubbermaid products and softness and its flexibility is basically achieved using tar oils, extruder oil, and industrial soot, which contain such compounds. The PVC bathing shoes were found to have 546 milligram per kg, and fluorine and phenanthrene were highest among the compounds found in the bathing shoes. Then such compounds, benzoapyrene, pyrene, phenanthrene, and ethylene, were also found in the newspaper's ink at levels of up to 553, 778, and 283 microgram per kg. And so basically, these compounds are inevitable in life, even though they have toxic effects, because their presence in daily, because of their presence in daily usable products, including food stuff. Now coming to the toxicokinetics of polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. First is absorption, then comes distribution. Absorption, according to some studies, these compounds were radio labeled and then they were checked about their toxicokinetics in different compartments of the earth. More than 85% of the initial dose was cleared with a half-life of less than 1 hour, and the half-life of clearance for the residual activity ranged from 26 to 63 hours. The BAP and other PEH are readily absorbed from the GI tract when present as solutes, and its absorbance is facilitated by the presence of bile salts in the intestinal lumen. In the rat, more than 50% of low oral doses were readily absorbed and majority was metabolized in the liver. Then comes distribution. Distribution, the highest levels are present in liver. Then some amounts are present in memory and fatty tissues. The GI tract contains high levels of metabolites as a result of the hepatobiliary excretion. For pyrene, the distribution to the tissues was highest in the perirenal fat, and intermediate in the liver, kidney, lungs, and lowest in the heart, testis, spleen, and brain. They can readily cross the placental barrier of rats, mice, consistent with the fetal and developmental toxicity of the substance. Then excretion basically occurs through hepatobiliary excretion, urine, and elimination through feces. Metabolism is that there is an enzyme system which converts the non-polar such compounds into polar hydroxy epoxy derivatives. Then these are very reactive and metabolized to other compounds such as dihydrodiols. Then comes the metabolizing capacity of the liver, followed by lung, intestinal mucosa, skin, kidneys, and metabolism may also take place in the nasal tissue, mammary gland, spleen, hair follicles, leukocyte, placenta, uterus. Animal and human fetal tissues have also the capacity to metabolize these compounds, but at a low rate compared to the adult tissues. These compounds stimulate their own metabolism by inducing microsomal cytochrome P450 monooxygenases and epoxide hydrolases. Now, this slide tells about the metabolism of BAP compound. It is first oxidized to arene oxides, phenols, then rearranges to phenol, undergoes hydration. It further oxidized to ketones. Then these compounds exert their mutagenic and carcinogenic activity through biotransformation to chemically reactive intermediates which bind covalently to cellular macromolecules like DNA. The conclusion is that these epoxides are the ultimate mutagenic and carcinogenic species of PAH. Now we have basically written the biotoxicity of noxious PAH compounds. There's this study which shows that these compounds have 3 different exposure routes. The highest cancer risk was found by ingestion, 99%, followed by dermal contact, which causes 1.83% risk, and then inhalation, 0.04% risk. Toxic effects may vary according to factors such as pre-health status, age, acute health effects like eye irritation, vomiting, diarrhea, confusion, skin irritation, inflammation. They're basically direct irritants. Some of them like naphthalene, anthracene, benzoylpyrene, and they are very skin sensitizers for animal and humans. These are some more health effects: eye cataract, kidney liver damages, breathing problem, lung malfunction, asthma-like symptoms, breakdown of red blood cells, cellular membrane dysfunction. It can lead to biochemical disruption, cell damage, mutation, developmental malformation, tumors, and cancers. This is from another survey, Fourth National Report on Human Exposure to Environmental Chemicals. These compounds were measured in urine. Scientists can estimate the amount of PEs that have entered the people's bodies. They were measured in most participants, including widespread exposure, indicating the widespread exposure of these compounds in the US population. Researchers found that these metabolites are higher in adults who smoke rather than the non-smokers, and biomonitoring data is very beneficial to help scientists plan and conduct research on exposure and its health effects. Phototoxicity of pH compounds. They absorb UVA and visible light. Then reactive species are produced upon the reaction of these compounds with oxygen and other molecules. These reactive species are responsible for damages to cellular components like nucleic acid protein. Now, if the skin is exposed to sunlight sunlight irradiation, after being contaminated by PEH. If a person's skin is exposed to sunlight after being contaminated with these compounds, it can cause DNA cleavage, oxidation of DNA covalent redox, and toxicity. Genotoxicity and carcinogenicity. Metabolism of these compounds are also generate reactive intermediates which are not easily excreted. They form covalent redox with nucleic acid and lead to genotoxic effects. The IARC has categorized these compounds in 4 groups. Group 1, carcinogenic. Group 2A, probably carcinogenic. Group 2B, possibly carcinogenic. And Group 3, not classifiable. Benzoylpyrene is one of the most carcinogenic and used as a exposure marker for risk assessment. Accumulation and bioavailability in the internal organs, which are rich in adipose tissue. It is due to the high lipophilicity, and several organs are very susceptible to tumor formation due to long-term exposure of these compounds like lung, skin, esophagus, colon, pancreas, mammary glands. Embryotoxicity is very common due to exposure of naphthalene. Then they also act as anti-estrogen, anti-androgen by directly binding with the estrogen and androgen receptors. mostly non-cancer reproductive system related health effects have been seen in male and females due to pH exposure, such as changes in the quality of sperms, reproductive function, egg viability, DNA damage, ovarian damage, and it also causes polycystic ovary syndrome, spontaneous abortion, premature birth. The hormonal regulator of reproduction, such as luteinizing hormone, follicular stimulating hormone, gonadotropin releasing hormone, and aromatase enzyme, they may be impacted by these compounds. And the benzoypyrene induced infertility in the male reproductive system. Children are also prone to behaviors which increase the exposure to these compounds, like eating soil, crawling on bare dirt surface, many hand to mouth activities. The Center for Children's Environmental Health demonstrate that exposure of pH during the gestation period is responsible for birth outcomes like low weight, premature delivery, heart malformation, and high exposure to these develops into low IQ and increased behavioral problems at the early age and childhood asthma. Now, some of the immunotoxicity of polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. They inhibit pre-B, pre-T, and myeloid cell development, B and T cell suppression, disruption of myelopoiesis, altered cytokine production, tumor development, and hypersensitivity, autoimmunity may also develop. They alter the structural and functional changes in bone marrow, which is very crucial for uh, health, as bone marrow is the central organ of hematopoiesis and vital site for the production of immune system cells. Now, there are some techniques for the analysis of these pH compounds. Analytical techniques involve extraction detection. Extraction methods involve micro-extraction and miniaturized extraction methods. And the benefits of advanced extraction methods are simplicity, less time-consuming step, less solvent, lower volume samples, and easy handling. And the most applicable detection methods are HPLC, liquid high performance liquid chromatography, gas chromatography, and mass spectrometry. Then we have some remediation strategies, which involve the reduction of these pollutants from the environment until safe levels are attained by the degradation or transformation processes. To restore the environment, remediation strategies have been employed, including the chemical biological method. They're very soluble in organic solvents. Therefore, the use of solvents can be used to remove these compounds from water slash soil. Soil washing can also be done with solvent, which is a suitable approach for the removal of these compounds, which is very um, persistent, but they can be removed using the right technologies. Then we have thermal technology, which includes incineration at high temperature, then in situ incineration. Then we have ex-situ techniques, which includes physical removal of these materials from one area to another area. Then in situ techniques involve treatment of the contaminated area. Land farming is another technique in which the native microbiome is stimulated for pH degradation uh, via improving aeration, moisture, and nutrient levels. Bioremediation is basically a method that requires less maintenance, no cleanup, slight monitoring effort. Limitations is that it is a slow process, and biostimulation is another method in which the activities of the microbes can be encouraged by addition of nutrients NPSK or by adding fertilizer, organic waste, and humic acid. It is basically used to overcome limitations of microbial growth and activities. Different combinations of these nutrients can be used to enhance this degradation by bacterial cultures. These are the references from which this presentation was made. See you in the next video.